Welcome to the SoberQ podcast.
My name's Michael. I am an alcoholic. The question is, how have we made amends to family? Actually, it's such a big question. There's some specific things that happened where I spoke amends to. When I got sober, my daughters were 11 and 8. I had a wife who then became an ex-wife a year after I got sober, and so there's some specific things that happened, and I sat down with them all individually actually, and had conversations and owned behaviours that things that had happened. I had 2 conversations with my daughters. One's when they were 14 and 12, and that was appropriate to their age at the time, and owned behaviour that they were really aware of, that they'd seen, that the public drunkenness, the embarrassing of them, the arguments with their mother in front of them, the things that were really obvious. And then we had another conversation completely when they were 19 and 17, and they had some different understandings. But by that stage, they'd lived with me again for the next 4 years, and we'd had a much different relationship. I spoke an amends with my ex-wife when I was probably about 4 years sober, 3.5, 4 years sober, and it was gold. I sat there and owned behaviour to her and asked her if there was anything she'd like to say, and she just gave me 45 minutes of hell, and it was gold, as I said, because I never want to be the man that she described. And over time, what's happened, I'll go back to that. So then I had, also I spoke an amends to my mother, and the outcome of that was I really didn't want to be her son, and I was really fearful of the fact that she was going to ask me to be a son that I didn't want to be. And I also had spoken amends to my sister, who wasn't in my life at all, and we have nothing in common. And she was the person who was waiting, who said, I know you're in AA, and I've been waiting for you to get to this part. And I copped a heap from her too. And again, it was gold, because I don't want to be the man she described. And what it looks like now, actually, as I've lived the amends, well, how I make amends actually is through the consistency of the way I do my life now. I'm living amends with my mother in the fact that she has dementia, and she's 81 years old, and I'm doing my best to care for her. I'm in my sister's life because we're both sort of caring for our mother as best we can, and I'm in the lives of my daughters, who are now 27 and 23, and it's really not about the words that I spoke back in those days to them. It's actually about the actions that have followed it up over probably the past 10 to 12 years, where they expect me to be sober. They expect me to make grown-up decisions. They expect me, my relationship with my ex-wife has turned around dramatically. We went through co-parenting of teenage daughters and really didn't like each other. And today I can sit down at a family function with all her family, big Italian family. There's 30 people at dinner, and I've made amends to every one of those people. I've spoken amends to every one of those people at the table, and I get along with them. And I never thought that was going to happen. And it hasn't been so much the words that I speak as the actions that have followed it up. As they'd all heard the words before, but through practicing the principles in all my fears in step 12, I've had an opportunity to make those amends to them. So thanks for letting me share.
If you would like to share your experience on a recovery question, visit the SoberQ podcast website at soberq.com. Thanks for listening.